step, it is going to be to load the needle. So to load the needle, I'm going to go ahead and grab my hemostat. Again, dominant hand, green finger, and my thumb through the loops of that hemostat. Use my index finger to stabilize on the opposite side, that neck of the hemostat. And I'm going to grab my needle and I'm going to load it onto my hemostat. Now it's very important where I place this needle on my hemostat, where I grip it. So you could do the tip of the needle, but that's not exactly the best choice to hold it towards the tip of the needle, the sharper tip, because you're not going to have a lot of motion when you're going through the tissue, through the peel or the skin. And I don't necessarily want to hold it at the opposite end either by extreme. You're not going to have as good of a grip. It's going to be a little bit more unstable than the other positions. And you could hold it in the middle. However, that's not exactly the best place. You will have some motion in some area of motion when you're going through the skin or the peel of your banana, but it's not exactly the best part. The best position is going to be 2/3 of the way back. So 2/3 away from that tip of the needle. And so with this one, you want to make sure your hemostat and your needle are perpendicular. So you'll see that they are perpendicular to each other. And that the tip of the needle is facing up towards the sky. Right now it's facing towards the camera, but whenever you're looking at, it's facing up towards the sky. So you want to clamp it to the first position. Again, 2/3 of the way back from the tip of the needle and the tip facing up towards the sky. And also, you can also make sure that you're holding in the right position because the string is going out towards your dominant side. So I'm right-handed and the string is going out towards my right hand. So clamp it to that first position just to get a good grip. And that is the first step. So loading your needle. Go ahead and do that. And if you guys need to talk about it again or if you guys are ready, just let me know.
So you grab it a little bit like close to the end, but not all the way to the end.
Yeah, that feels weird.
Exactly. Yes.
And then click it in place.
It's this one right here. Or wait, which one is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then click it in.
With your dominant, remember your dominant hand. Yes, and your ring finger. Exactly. So that's right.
Okay, perfect. So you guys have loaded your needle the first step. Now we're going to go ahead and transition to our second step. So make sure you put your tools down, pay attention, and then I'll allow you guys time to practice or go ahead with this next step. So our second step is entering and exiting the tissue. I'm going to go ahead and grab my hemostat with my loaded needle. And I'm going to also use my forceps, non-dominant hand. And I'm going to use the forceps to stabilize the skin as I'm entering and exiting the tissue with my needle. Now we're going to rotate our wrist for this step. I want to rotate my wrist so that the tip of the needle is actually facing down towards the ground. So rotating my wrist so that the tip of the needle is facing down towards the ground, because we want to enter the side of that wound with the tip going in first, and then we're going to go ahead and rotate our wrist to follow the curvature of the needle as we're going through the peel through the skin of our wound. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on the right side. You start on the on your dominant side, of the wound, and then we're going to make sure we enter and exit to end up on the opposite end of the wound. And I'm going to use my forceps to stabilize. A lot of times students like to put a little bit of pressure on the skin of where they're going to enter and exit. I like to grasp the skin, the peel a little bit, not too tightly, just to get a better grip of that skin. We don't want it moving around too much. So I'm going to rotate my wrist so that that tip is facing down towards the ground and turning on my right side because I am right-handed. And I'm going to go ahead and enter and exit, rotating my wrist as I go through until I have that tip of the needle on that opposite end. I'm going to release the hemostat. Sometimes you'll have only a little bit of a tip. That's okay. You can sort of push the needle through a little bit with your hemostat, grabbing that opposite end until you have a better grip. And I'm going to use the hemostat to pull that tip of the needle through. I'm going to use my forceps again to stabilize, because if you don't stabilize, you're just going to be pulling on that peel, you might just rip the peel of the skin. So we're using our forceps to stabilize as we're pulling that needle through. So we're gonna go ahead and pull that needle through, and I'm gonna pull it until the string has a tail at the side that we entered, and we have about an inch and a half of string on that opposite side, that side where we entered, because we're gonna be using that tail to create our tie for that next step.
Yeah. Like a knot? Yeah, like she's gonna teach you a medical knot. Well, yeah, otherwise the stitch is gonna come through.
Like a shoelace knot. I was confused for a second. What's a
But when you guys are doing this, you'll be professional, so they're not gonna clean off. You'll already be doing it quick, easy, right? Good job, you guys.
So go ahead and put your tools down. I'm gonna go ahead and use my hemostat again for this step. And I'm going to put this hemostat above and parallel to my wound, so very much parallel to that wound where I'm going, and right above it, just hovering over it. And I'm going to grab the long end of the string. So I also want to make sure I don't grab it all the way towards the needle. I'm going to grab it closer to where it is touching the tissue. So I'm going to make sure I have a good grip on that string. And I'm going to wrap the string around the neck of my hemostat. And I'm going to wrap it around twice in a clockwise motion. So I'm going to wrap it around once and twice, clockwise motion. I want to make sure I have a good grip on this string, because if it is too loose, then those wraps are just going to come right off of my hemostat. And that's okay if they do. Just go ahead again, make those 2 wraps on the hemostat. So once, twice around the neck of the hemostat in a clockwise motion, keeping it taut, making sure I have some tension on that end of the string. Then I'm going to open up those hemostats, and I'm going to grab the tip of the tail. I don't want to grab it too close to where that tail is coming out of the skin. And I'm going to have a lot of opportunity to tie it off. Just more towards the end, that tip of the tail. If I can get it through, there we go. So we have the tip of the tail. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put these wraps, and I'm going to put them so that the tip of the tail is going through those wraps. So I'm going to move my hand upward in a northward motion away from me. And I'm going to pull both ends, and I'm just going to keep pulling. But for this one, I actually have to cross my arms over. So I'm going to cross my arm that's holding that long end of the string, the non-dominant hand. I'm going to go towards my right side, towards my dominant side. And I'm also still pulling on that one tip in order to create a flat wrap. Just let me know.
If you need help, I will come help you. Just ask if you guys need help. Can you just, you don't have to speak through it, just like push it through it again. And there.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
If you guys want to go ahead and grab it.
Yep, this is red. You're down here.
Clockwise.
Yep. So one. She said grab it. Tighten it. Wrap it first. Pull this one back.
That makes sense.
And
Wrap it around there twice. Why is your thing so long?
yeah, you guys can take pictures when you're done. You know?
I can take pictures. I will take pictures with my banana.
Yep, 1, 2, now grab it. Okay, now pull out. So you're gonna pull that back. And pull that, see? Perfect. Once you guys do it the first time, then you get the hang of it. Two legs go turn. Go over and flip the tail. Pull this that way. Did you make the whole? No. This that way. I'm gonna come behind you, okay?
Oh.
I think I do.
You're gonna open it up, and then you're gonna hold it.
I'm like killer
Mine's thick and I'm quite happy.
Okay, hold it. Now open this up. Grab your tail. Flip it. Yep. Flip. Okay, now while you're doing it, now pull this. Pull this. Relaxing. It's flipping. Hold it. That's good. Now pull through. Good. Pull through. Pull through. Pull down. Yeah, turn. So keep pulling. Keep pulling. Keep pulling. See? So do it again on your own. Yes, do it again.
I'm gonna go ahead and pick up my hemostat. And it's gonna be the same sort of technique, covering my hemostat above and parallel to the wound. However, I'm gonna wrap the string once, and I'm going to wrap it in a counterclockwise motion, so opposite to what I did for that first wrap. So wrapping it counterclockwise once, opening up my hemostat to grab the tip of the tail and pulling through. Now I don't need to cross my arms for this. You'll notice you're doing it correctly. You have sort of this box shape whenever you're creating that second knot on that tie. And I'm just gonna pull through it. Now once I pull this, I actually can't undo it. The only way I can undo it is if I start all over again. So I'm gonna pull that, and then I'm gonna finish it off with the third wrap. For the third wrap, hover that hemostat above and parallel to the wound, and I'm gonna wrap it once in a clockwise motion. So opposite to that last one that we just did, that second wrap, opening up the hemostat and grabbing the tip of the tail and pulling it through. This time you are gonna cross your arms like that first one. You're going to cross and just tighten it, make sure you don't pull on it too much. And I sort of lined up that knot on the side of the wound. It just makes it a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier to do. And then I'm gonna pick up my iris scissors and cut out those extra strings just to leave 2 mini tails on that, just to finish it off. And I don't wanna leave those tails too short because that knot will come undone. And that is the simple interrupted suture.
Oh, so I got this restart.
Restart it.
That's how long, like, does it take a long time for that?
Yeah, but at the first, the doctor or
Because I'm looking, so now I go clockwise.
like second injury.
Yeah, I went clockwise.
Practice makes perfect.
And when we're doing it, do we go close to the first one?
Good job. You're doing good. Just wrap it once. Remember that. One time. Yep.
Oh, cut both.
Grab it. Just one time. You already wrapped it once. Because this is your second.
Like, okay, wrap this around once. So wrap it.
You don't have to turn your arm.
Just like that. Now hold it tight.
One time.
And then pick up that. And now just
Wrap it once.
like
Flip it. Flip it.
you have to use two
Your tail. There you go. Now pull it.
and like
So you can do another one if you'd like, or just do
So
more.
we're doing it again, do we go close to the first thing?
so hold it over here. Like that. So now and now pull them away. Like they're all the way down.
Now it's
We have to do it one more time. 3 times.
the opposite way.
You're gonna cut it. You guys make sure you're cutting right above where you guys tied off and redo it. Don't keep doing it. You snip it and then you redo the whole process again. Snip it after you tie it and redo the whole process
How many
again.
times are we doing that? 3?
Look, it's a perfect example. Except they're a little far apart. But you did it perfect. Good job.